Hello, hello, ladies. Welcome to day 3 of Building Financial Freedom, Creating Financial Freedom series. My name is Lisa Vanderquack, and I am one of the founding ambassadors here at Girl Power Alliance. Just a little bit about me before I introduce our special guest today. And my name is Lisa, and I have been a part of Girl Power Alliance for about a year, well, a little over a year, for when it first launched its membership. And I have my own business. I'm a speaking coach. I'm also a certified ICF coach. And I have been on the online space for about 15 years. Can you believe it? Like before video was around. Anybody out there remember these telesummits? These telephone series that we would do, and how we do summits today with video? Well, we used to do that with telephone, believe it or not. And so I've seen an evolution, but I'm so excited of what is happening inside the Girl Power Alliance and what God is doing in just using all the resources we have available to change the way that we do business. And so I'm excited to introduce you today. If you've never met Michelle Schaffer, she is our CEO and founder of Girl Power Alliance. And just a little bit about Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm excited to have you. I know there's many in this community who have seen your videos, have seen you talking in this group, but I just want to formally introduce you in case those who have watched you don't really know where you've come from. So Michelle started out as a hairstylist. She owned her own, she was her own business as a hairstylist, and jumped into the network marketing industry and has now have over 2 decades behind her. But in that time, she actually became a 7-figure earner, went on to lead teams, was a part of corporate, and built a very successful business, and then walked away from it. So we're going to hear a little bit about that story today and why it's so important, because today we're talking about leverage. We're talking about why it's so important to use leverage to build and create financial freedom, and specifically about how GPA is that vehicle that we can use. And Michelle wrote a book called The Residual Life. If you have not read it, you need to get it. I've got dog ears in here, underlines, all kinds of stuff in here. We're going to talk a bit about this today, how she came to write it. There's also a course inside of Girl Power Alliance, a video course that goes along with this. If you haven't listened to it, if you're a member, you need to do that today. You need to start it. Michelle is just passionate about teaching people about this whole topic of leverage and residual income. So she is the perfect person for us to interview today. Michelle, I am so excited. You know what? First of all, I want to say I'm so thankful that God caused our paths to cross. I feel like when I came in contact with GPA and began to discover what God was building here, it just seemed like there was this opening of grace that happened in my life in terms of area of business. There was, a measure of success that I have in my own business, but I was looking for ways to create more streams of income. And I feel like there's so much in GPA that is so different than other network marketing companies. And hopefully we're going to talk a bit about that today. But let's get started. Share a little bit about how you got started in network marketing, first of all.
Thank you, Lisa. I just love you. I think often of our very first conversation and how God just orchestrates things so perfectly. And long before we ever met, we were supposed to meet. Lisa and I share a birthday, so happy belated birthday to you, because we just had a birthday. And you have been such a tremendous, rock solid leader here in so many ways. So I'm just very, very thankful to you. And I'm glad that you're here and that I get to be a part of your world. So thank you. Thank you so much. And to all of the women that have been putting on this summit for the last couple of days, I love you all. You are amazing leaders and planting really phenomenal seeds just all over the globe for the kingdom. So thank you guys. Like Lisa said, I started as a stylist and a makeup artist. I was a teen mom. I had my oldest daughter, who's 33. I had her when I was 16. I married my high school sweetheart. We had my son when I was 19. And by the time I was 21, I was divorced with 2 kids. Went to 1 semester of college and thought, this is not the path that's going to take me to the things that I want to create for my life with my children. And just time. I mean, really, it was a huge this is going to take me 5 years just to complete college, to live at the poverty line. And I was like, there's got to be something else. So I went to cosmetology school, built a business standing behind the chair. I did that for a decade. I loved it. It was very fun. I always say, once in the beauty business, you're always in the beauty business. So, but I haven't done that for many, many years, but I loved the profession, and I loved what it did as giving women a little bit of confidence. I loved interacting with women every day. But I knew I wasn't going to do it forever, because I could only earn while I was standing on my feet. If by chance I got sick or my children were sick, not only was I not earning, I was actually paying, because I was an independent contractor. There was zero leverage in my life. I missed everything. I missed all of my children's school events. I missed vacations. I missed everything. I was paying the bills. Thank you, Jesus. But I felt in my heart there had to be more. So I jumped into network marketing after hearing about it for many, many years, not having a bad feeling about it. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's one of those things. That's a pyramid. That's a thing. I never felt that. I just felt it was like not really a career. I just didn't think anybody made money. For me, it was always about the dollars and cents. The only way I could spend more time with my children was if I was earning more somewhere and I didn't have to work as much in the salon. So when I met my husband, Bobby, who I've been with now for 23 years, when I met him, he was very successful in the network marketing profession. So I got to see that you could create a real 6-figure plus career in network marketing. And it wasn't until we had my third, his first child, who's now 20, almost 21. When she was around 2 years old, I felt a desperate need to get out of what I was doing, desperate. And I jumped into network marketing, and it's literally been, since then, it's been almost 20 years, lots of things we've seen and experienced in the profession, high highs, low lows. And ultimately, I always come back to it because of the fact that I believe this is what I really believe about network marketing. If you look at biblical principles of the sower and the seed, or you look at the parable of the talents, network marketing is literally a seed. It's something small. It doesn't take much to get involved. It doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's a seed that literally could turn into orchards of blessing from something very small. If you're willing to take this thing and do what the first two guys in the parable of the talents did, they went out and they sowed into this amount of money that was given to them by their master. To me, network marketing is a seed that if you sow into it, that you will actually experience, well done, good and faithful servant. You've done well with this little seed that I gave you, and you can build something very, very big that gives you financial blessing to so many other people, and creates a life of leverage.
That is so beautiful. I love that analogy and that reference to that scripture, because here with network marketing, it's like a system that's in place, that's given to us with everything else to be able to leverage. So we're going to talk a bit about that in a minute, but I think that is gold, because a lot of times people are looking outside of themselves for some way to create this financial freedom. And here you have something that is given. And then that passage, it talks about it's been given to us. And Michelle, we're going to talk a bit about this in reference to building a leveraged income in a minute, but specifically in regards to your career in network marketing, what are some things that it took you to be successful? What are some things that you had to learn, or you had to really overcome, perhaps, to make the success that you had?
So many things. I had to learn and overcome so many things. I will tell you that what I had coming into network marketing that gave me an advantage was a desperate desire to make it happen. Like when I got started, I had made a decision in my mind that nothing was going to stop me before I ever started. Before I ever did talk to one person, before I knew anything about it, I made a decision. This is going to be the answer to my prayer. I believe this is the answer to my prayer. Jesus, how open a door some way, somehow. I need to be home with my family. And I believed with all of my heart that that was the answer. I didn't care what other people thought. I'm going to talk about this when you ask me a question later that I know you're going to ask me. I did not care about what people thought. I maybe had an advantage in that area, because I was such a young mom and I looked young. I had to learn to have blinders on in my life and not worry about what other people thought about me, because they were judging me instantly when they saw me with my 2 children as a single mom. So I had I had already had some armor up around me, not caring about what other people thought about the decisions that I knew I needed to make for my life. So I felt deep in my gut that this was the answer I had been praying for, the network marketing opportunity, number one. And I made a decision immediately. This is going to work. Come hell or high water, this is going to work. So I think that was the very, very first thing that I had going in, that I was like, and I almost liked it that people thought I was crazy. It became this almost rebellious thing of like, I'll show you what's possible.
That's so good. True to personality, right? That's so good. I love it. So all of that, ladies. Now, I want you, as you're listening today, put in the comments any ahas that come for you, any comments or questions that come up as you're listening to this, because there's going to be some really powerful tips here that will help you to get unstuck, to help you to overcome something that's holding you back. Now, Michelle, you went into the network marketing, you went hard, you built a successful business, beautiful family, you didn't compromise, the things in your life in regards to, but something shifted for you along the way. And you walked away from that particular industry, that particular season of your life, that particular maybe focus that you had. There was a moment in time that you walked away. Why and what happened?
So many things. So in my career of network marketing, Bobby had success before he met me. Together, we built 3 separate businesses from 0 to 6 figures, multiple 6 and 7 figures. Had a lot of success. We owned a company a little over a decade ago. Actually, it's been a lot more than a decade. It was 13 years ago now. And we had investors that ended badly. We both worked corporately for a company. So I had seen a lot of things in the network marketing profession. And I had lived a life of leverage at that point. 2019, it had been, probably 17 years of leverage life. And when I say that, I mean, we owned our time. I didn't have to be anywhere at any time. We were making plenty of money and had options to do whatever we wanted, live wherever we wanted, vacation, do whatever nothing was off limits to us because we had the finances and we had the time. And, I just was very, very blessed, but there was something stirring in me. There was some dissatisfaction stirring in me, which was confusing to me. I was starting to things that I never bothered me about my company or my profession started to really bother me. And God was, when I look back now, I can see that God was actually creating discontentment. He was creating conflicts and things within what I was doing to push me. I didn't see it at the time. I can only see it looking back. But I began to feel that, number one, I couldn't talk about this opportunity in this product, it's a health and nutrition product, in the same way anymore. Life changing. This product is going to change your life. That didn't feel right anymore to me. Number one. Number two, I couldn't stand the way that we in the profession, we collectively really put people on this pedestal and edified them. There's so much ego. There was just a lot of things. All of a sudden, it was like I woke up one day and I was like, I don't like this pair of shoes doesn't fit me anymore. I'm trying to shove my feet into this pair of shoes and I'm getting blisters and it's hurting, but I can't, I have to get a new pair of shoes. And I'll be honest, I was mad at God that this was happening because what was I going to do? This was our sole source of income. This was basically my identity, was what I had built in network marketing. I went from having this identity of like being a teen mom and not wanting to be a statistic or feel like I was a loser or making sure my kids had this great life to this very successful person in network marketing. And all of a sudden I was like, well, shoot, who am I if I'm not this stuff? So I knew God was calling me to something. I didn't know what it was, but over my lifetime, I have learned if God wants me to do something, I want to do what he wants me to do. Even if I don't get it, even if I don't understand, even if I don't feel equipped, even if I don't know how, I want to get on board with him because one of my biggest prayers for years has been, God, align the desires of my heart with the desires of yours. And if there's something in there that I want that's not aligned with you, like rip it out. And this was a ripping out of something. I didn't know what. So I, at the peak of my career, building the biggest team I had ever built, earning all the accolades, making the most money, I walked away and I was like, oh, what now? And I almost giggled because my husband, Bobby's so supportive, but he was like, okay, so what are you going to do now? Because it was completely unknown.
You know, I love that as you were talking, I was thinking about that word alignment, because sometimes we go through, we have these experiences in life, and then God does a complete shift like that. We're like, okay, God, what was that? But it wasn't that the time that we were in that space or industry was lost. It's just the preparation that needed to happen for the next season was done in that regard for whatever purpose.
Okay.
And I hear you saying that in terms of there was now a timing of, okay, something is coming to a close here. And am I hearing you right?
You are, but I will tell you the truth. It did not feel like preparation. It did feel at the time. It makes me emotional. I absolutely felt like all those years were a waste. I felt very sad, and it was I grieved it. I grieved who I thought I was and who am I supposed to be? And it felt like, because I had just written that book. I had written the book in 2018. It just got published in 2019. And now I felt like God, I was like, why did I write this book and publish it and to walk away from this profession? It felt uncomfortable, scary, unknown. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I wanted to go. So it, at the time, it 1,000% felt like it was all wasted, but God is so good. And even in starting Girl Power Alliance, didn't start as a network marketing company, started as a membership, because I was like, God's taking me away from that. I'm doing something away from that. And I was sad, but I tried to push the sad away to do what he wanted me to do. Because I know what he wants for us is always better than what we want. And, but then, as the story goes, a year and a half into it, I feel like he handed it back to me. And in an instant, it was like, so none of that was a waste. You actually were just taking me to a place that I needed to go, to growth that I needed to have, trust and faith in him that I couldn't have had any other way except for the way that the path that he took me on, exactly that way, to actually prepare me for bringing network marketing back to the marketplace, into my own life in a different way, with a whole different heart. My heart was totally different.
That's a good segue. So, but I want to just bring out here how it's so important, that alignment. And what I hear you saying is your faith played a key role in that, in terms of who you are in Christ, and saying, you know what, this is good, but it's not what God has for me. It's not where God wants me to stay right now. And sometimes we do. I'm so glad you talked about that grieving, because it's so true. Sometimes we have a hard time letting go of either old ways of doing things, old perceptions of what it should look like, or what our life should look like. And trusting God is an adventure, and it's a journey, but it's always the very best. And what happened for you to start GPA? Because now you left your industry and you began to just follow the path that God was leading you on, trusting him as you're walking through your own healing process. How did you start GPA? What happened?
I'm going to answer that by answering a question that I see here in the comments that Lacey asked. She asked, Perfect. How did I fill in the gap? How did you financially do it in the gap? That's the only thing holding me back from leaving my current job.
Beautiful question.
I say, it's a great question. I think a lot of people ask it. And when I say that I walked away, I did not retire and stop earning the income that I had built for a decade. Let me explain something to you, ladies. One of the beautiful things about network marketing is that income that my husband and I built was mine. That was mine. I did not call the company and say, hey, I'm retiring. I just retired with the income that I earned. So if anybody's ever asking that question, guess what? Network marketing is what gave me the financial resources to start this company, is what happened. But I just stopped doing everything that I did in and with that company. And it was COVID was happening. So God, I'm not taking credit for COVID, but I feel like God gave that as a gift to me because nobody was doing anything. Calls were stopping. It was like this natural thing. And I just never came back. I had really been almost inactive in my building. I was maintaining and helping people, but I was not actively building for probably over a year anyway. And when I felt God was doing this, I was like, I can't do calls anymore. I can't help people anymore. I have to literally not do this at all anymore. So I continue to earn the income that I worked years and years to build. And you know what? I deserved it. So I have a lot of people that ask me, like, what do I do with my other company? I don't feel called here anymore. But if you have an income, you deserve that. Now, a lot of companies will actually try to kick you out. That's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
That didn't happen in my company, because one thing that I had, if anybody here is wondering, I started Girl Power Alliance with not one single person from my other business.
That's
not
powerful.
one single person came with me from the other business. I kept it completely separate. I started, like, I know what it is to start from scratch, because this started from scratch, new people, new relationships, new everything. It was literally like a different life for me starting this. So I had feelings and ideas. I didn't have a clear path. I had I feel like God gave me seeds and fertilizer and dirt, and they were all separate. Here's the seeds, here's the fertilizer, here's the dirt, over here's a shovel. But I didn't know what the seed was going to do or anything. So I kept hearing God talk about community. I kept hearing God talk to me about women. And I was like, no, not women. They're so mean. But I knew he was talking about women. I knew it was going to be something where being bold about faith was big. And then at the end of 2019, I felt God speak to me 2 things, and I had full absolute clarity on those 2 things. The first was this is December, end of December 2019. God spoke to me. There's about to be a massive shift in the church, the body, the kingdom. Okay. That could mean a lot of things, but I heard that. That was number 1. And the second thing that he told me was, we're about to enter into the largest revival that the world had ever seen. Women were going to be the catalyst for that revival, and it was going to be women in the marketplace. So all of the seeds, the fertilizer, the dirt, the shovel, when I had that word, I felt that I could move forward in a direction that I thought he was taking me. Did I feel absolute clarity on what I was starting with Girl Power Alliance? Nope. I don't think I've ever felt 100% absolute clarity on anything, but I had enough to move forward in a direction. And if you're listening to this, I really want you to get this. And it's one of the things I told my son. I remember when he was 21 and he kind of stuck. I said, listen, you may not, I said, what is holding you back from moving forward? He goes, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to go to college and start taking these courses and then I hate it. I don't want to do this and then I hate it. I said, but the bottom line is you have to move forward in a direction. And if that's not the thing that you're supposed to do, maybe going in that direction will open the door and help you see the thing that you're supposed to do. So even though it wasn't like 110%, I know I'm supposed to do this exact thing with Girl Power Alliance. I didn't have that, but I had enough of like an outline to begin in a direction. And I trusted God enough that he was going to guide me. He was going to open a door, close a door, give me clarity in the moment, give me the next step as I took the step. So for those of you that are like, you're waiting for God to give you the absolutes. I have never in my life had God give me an absolute. He gave me pieces to the puzzle and said, just like in the parable of the talents, here's this thing. Did he direct them as to what to do with the amounts of money he gave them? No. He said, here's this, go do something with it. And that is how God has been in my life completely. He's been like, here, take all these things, go do something with it.
I love that. And if any of you are in RLA, Radiant Leadership Academy, you would have heard this parable talked about. And I love and I just want to emphasize something here because it's so important, is that the master gave to the servants what the amount that was within their ability to multiply. That is so key. I believe that whatever comes into our hands at any given time is because God says you have the capacity to do something with this right now. And it's our job, just like you said, step into that, grow it, learn how to invest, learn how to multiply it in whatever way, and just be in motion. As we're in motion, things happen and God redirects. So, Michelle, you started off with this course, Radiant Leadership Academy. This is a course that God downloaded to you to help prepare women to be the leaders in the marketplace. Tell us a little bit about how that then turned into what GPA is today.
I have been obsessed with leadership for many, many years, and long before this was even happening. I knew that I was actually, I felt like God gave me a download for a weekend retreat, a leadership retreat. I wrote it all down. I was like, I don't know when or how or what I'm going to do with this, but I knew that somehow that I was being called to help raise up women into leadership. And I believe it's why Bobby and I were so successful in network marketing. We've always focused on building people's leadership, helping to take them from where they started to their next level, and then maybe their next level and their next level. And so I've studied leadership. I've gone to leadership conference. I've paid a lot of money. I've read every book. I've listened to all the people, all the gurus. And there's great stuff. I mean, I always feel if I can take one thing away from every event, every book, whatever, then it was enough. But I will tell you, it was all lacking for me because of what God was doing in my own life. It was missing some fundamental things. And I also, with RLA specifically, I was like, where's all the women teaching leadership? Like, we're crazy leaders in our home, with our children, with our spouses, in the marketplace, in our communities. We are leading in a lot of things. Where's the women out there? And the women that were teaching leadership, I did not relate to. They were so harsh and hard, and basically like men in women's, like women. They were, the way that they spoke and the way they talked to people, it didn't resonate with me personally. Like, I'm a nurturer, I'm a lover. You know what I mean? I want to build people up. I want to feed people, all these things. And, these women seemed so not that. Like, you can be this or this, and you can't be both. I was like, but I am both. I'm both. I'm literally making dinner for my family and building a 7-figure business and leading people. So there were some things in me that was just missing pieces. I started to write the book that was going to be the Radiant Leadership book. It didn't happen. And about a year and a half later, God gave me the download for the 16-week course. And you know what he told me about it? And I hesitated to say it for a long time because it sounded like it was an ego thing, but it's not ego. And now you'll know why, because there's so many women teaching this course. But God told me that from that course, that the world was going to change. From that course, the world was going to change. And I never wanted to say that I was the only one teaching it for the first while, but now we have 24 women teaching the class. And then next year, I believe we're going to have, 50 to 100 more women teaching the class. And I take zero credit for it. It was a Holy Spirit download, and that what God has been able to do in women's lives as a result of really that deep dive for 16 weeks is, I don't even know what to say. I think that it is our signature program here at GPA. I want everybody to take it. Like, I wish that you could only sign up and be here if you take the course first. And it's just been phenomenal. And you are leading the charge by you're the first person in Canada to teach that course. And that's pretty exciting.
And what an honor. But I just want to say, yes, it was all God, but you said yes. And I think that's really important, that we understand that we are in partnership with God. Like you said, yes, Michelle, we wouldn't be here today if you had not stepped into this and said, God, okay, I'll do this. I have no idea how this is going to work out. No idea where you're going with this, but I'll step in and do whatever you want me to do. So we just want to say thank you for that. And then from there, I know that then it came into this form that it is today with GPA. For those who are listening today, if you don't know, GPA is a personal, professional, and leadership development organization with Christ-centered resources. It's a premier place for you to grow, to become the woman that God has called you to be in whatever sphere of influence you're in. But not only is it a membership that you can tap into these resources, but now it is an opportunity for you to actually tap into streams of income, 6 streams of income that you can leverage. So I would love it, Michelle, if you would take a few minutes right now and talk about this opportunity that's available for women and why you actually brought this part in, the ambassadorship, into GPA.
Yes, thank you. It's so exciting. I'm so happy that we have that option available. I'm noticing on the Facebook Live that the comments are turned off. And what I've learned recently is when you have 100 comments, they automatically get turned off. So you can turn them back on as the person that did the post. So those of you that are wondering why, that's why. So it'll come back soon.
I didn't know that. Thank you for that little
I just learned it. I was like, why do the comments get turned off during the lives? Well, that's why, because once they reach 100 comments, it's like an automatic thing in Facebook, which is silly. Let's see. Well, for the first year and a half, when it was just a membership, it was growing and it was great, but there was something missing. There was something missing for me. And I know there was something missing in the community. And I will tell you, the moment that I decided that this was going to turn into a network marketing company, the moment the atmosphere changed, even before the announcement was made, even before we had restructured the company and moved, like manipulated the membership and added more things to it, even before then. And the reason is because this financial piece is huge. And you have women that are doing things, all kinds of things, to make extra money or to make ends meet or whatever. But so often the things they're doing, they just do it because they have to. You know what I mean? Like they have to do this thing to make money. But if they could do something that really aligned with them and that they loved, wow, gosh. I mean, we are powerful. We are powerful influencers over the few people that we know or a ton of people that we know. So when, and like I said earlier about the story, like I felt that all these years were a waste. But bringing this back together, bringing the network marketing piece and being able to create it from nothing and like, okay, I liked this about network marketing, but I didn't like this. So we're going to do it this way. Is it going to work? We'll find out, right? We'll find out if we can create something that takes the good of what I loved about the profession and leaves the other things to the side and creates an environment where women can come in, they can grow, they can learn, they become the best version of themselves, share this membership with other people, and actually build an income and build a leveraged income. So you're not worried about teaching people about science about product or making sure they use a product right. They have access instantaneously to a product. And this is important too, because what we all experienced around the globe in 2020 was our lives got turned upside down in an instant. We couldn't go anywhere. If you lived in Australia, you literally couldn't go anywhere. Literally, you were bound to your home. Depending on where you lived, it was different. But we saw the globe shift and we saw that hopefully it will never happen again. But if it does, I want to be prepared with a business. I want to be prepared with resources. I want to be prepared with finances that do not hinge on the fact that the supply chain, getting things created or whatever. So the idea of having a truly virtual business that is truly global, that can anywhere at any time, this was a huge piece, number one. And number two, having the ability, because I've lived like this, having the ability to have finances available to you, it changes everything. So while people were losing their jobs and things were happening, I had built an income for 10 years and my income stayed the same. What a bless. Every day I woke up and you hear these horrible things and people are like, we don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to, get this help from the government, whatever. And my life was the same. And not only was that my life the same, I was taking this resource that I had been given and investing into something new. Having the opportunity here is a game changer because you have women out there. Let me tell you something. Women are already sharing things. I was stood behind the chair for 10 years. I sold so many things that I didn't make a dime on because when women are excited about something or when something works, it's natural. We automatically share. You share it with strangers. I've had people ask me at the store, where'd you get these shoes? I don't know them, but what do? I tell them where, and I say, oh, I got them over here, but don't get them today. They're going on sale in 2 days. This is what we do as women. We want to help other women and share things that we love. So when you come into a community like this, where you have the ability to actually pour in, you get poured into. We just pour out to our families, to our businesses, to our communities, to our church. It's what we do. God made us like that. We were born to pour out. And when do we get poured into? This whole community is about you getting poured into. So you get to fill your cup and you can fill your bank account. I just don't even, it's amazing to me.
I love that. You know what? I feel the same way in terms of, first of all, I just want to say, I turned on the comments and it keeps going off. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a few admins doing that or what, but I've tried. It went on and then it went off. So we'll just ride with it. But Michelle, I think this is a really, really important piece for those who are listening to the replay, listening live right now, is if it were to happen again, and we pray it doesn't, but it's almost like a wake-up call. It's like to say, what the Bible says that we need to be shrewd as serpents and gentle as doves, right? We need to have wisdom and do things in a way that is going to leverage what God has put in our hands. And creating multiple streams of income is actually biblical.
Yes.
It's biblical. It's very biblical. And we don't have time to go into that today, but Radiant Leadership Academy does. And also some of the other courses, but it is actually wise to create multiple streams of income. And why not make income doing what you're already doing, out sharing, multiple things that you do every day. And I love the fact that not only is GPA have given us the opportunity to have these streams of income through a virtual digital franchise, but it also has the opportunity for us to be able to leverage the expertise of so many women across the globe. Like it's not, we don't have to do it all. So I want to ask you, Michelle, what holds women back?
Ooh.
What holds women back from stepping into something like this or building a leveraged income?
Yeah, there's first, I think the first thing, I'm glad you answered this. By the way, we can turn the comments on later, so I apologize. It's just a thing, Lisa. It happens when you have so many people are commenting. It's weird. But I will tell you, I think the first thing that holds women back specifically is worrying about what other people think. I think it's so big. You're so worried about what your husband, your spouse, your children, your neighbors, your friend, the people at your church, your boss, you're so worried about what other people think. This is such a lie from the pit of hell, because let me tell you something. The truth of the matter is, I like to explain it like this. You live your next door neighbor. You hear that your next door neighbor, they lost their job, like they're not going to be able to make their mortgage. And you're sitting down to dinner with your family and you say to your spouse, hey, did you hear, the Joneses next door, so-and-so lost his job. They're not going to be able to make your mortgage. You're like, wow, that's really terrible. We need to pray for them. Yeah. Anyway, can you pass me the potatoes? That's the truth. That is the truth of other people's opinions. It doesn't pay your bills. It is such a blocker for people that it stops you from doing everything. The enemy has used that so profoundly. Like, I will tell you that people are already talking about you. It might be good, it might be bad, but they are already doing it. So I've lived my life like, let's give them something good. Let's give them something good to talk about. Let's give them something to be hopeful to talk about, because you're such an example. I think that's number one. And I think number two is this. And this goes back to the parable of the talents. I cannot tell you, I bet you this has happened with you, Lisa. I cannot tell you how many women I've talked to that feel called to come here. They feel like this is the answer.
Yeah.
But they think, well, I don't have 100% confirmation, or they allow all these things to stop them. It's exactly like the third guy in the parable of the talents. You feel called to come here. Somehow, some way you got introduced to this community. You think the resources are amazing. And maybe you're afraid, like I was. Maybe you're afraid because like, well, I have this other thing building me money, building me income, paying the bills, but I really feel called here. And so you let all these other things stop you when you are being exactly like the third guy. And what does Jesus say in that parable about him? He said, you wicked, lazy servant. The truth of the matter is, I have spoken with people that I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt were called here. The things they said, the alignment, their hearts, but they allowed ego. Well, I've been building my brand, so I really need to focus on my brand. And they don't want to come under the heading of a brand of a company. How sad when God handed you a seed. I have people that say, well, I'm making money over here. I don't love the product. I don't whatever, if it's another network marketing company, but I really feel like I'm supposed to be here. And they allow that to stop them because maybe they just didn't know how to navigate it. And maybe you've heard how I navigated it and that will help you. But the truth of the matter is God, if you're listening to this, or even if you're inside of this group, there's like over 4,000 women inside of this group. You've been given a seed. And I also think sometimes we think, well, maybe it's too hard, or I don't have the skill, or I don't have that. But let's just talk about there's so many examples all through the Bible of God taking something tiny and multiplying it beyond your wildest imagination. And just take, if we're going to talk about Jesus, the loaves and the fishes story. Here was this basket, and the disciples are panicked. What are we supposed to do? There's tens of thousands of people here, if you include the women and the children, and and they're hungry. What are we going to do? And Jesus says, but what do we have? We have nothing. We have nothing. Jesus says, but what do you actually have? We found this one kid. He's got a basket of fish and some, a couple loaves of bread. And Jesus goes, I can work with that.
Yeah.
Sadly, women are looking at what they have and thinking it's too small and discounting God altogether. And all he's asking is to take the small thing that you have, whatever it is that you have, and allow me to do it. And this last point I want to say is, Jesus told the disciples, take this and pass it out. Do you know that increase did not come from Jesus' hand? He said, go do it, but it came from the hands of the disciples that were passing out the baskets. This is such a profound thing that I was listening this morning.
Yeah.
So it was, Jesus said, take this and you go do it. And then the increase happened. So sadly, so many people are sitting on the seed. They buried the seed. They put it in a cabinet. Maybe they threw it away because God is asking you to take this small thing. And he says, just watch what I can do when you take the small thing that I gave you and go in the direction that I called you to go. So I think that there is fear. I think there is unknown. I think they think they're not enough. I think they think they don't have the skill. I think they look at all these outside factors, and every single one of them is taking God out of the equation. Every single one of them. I will tell you, I was not equipped to start Girl Power Alliance. I had never built a digital course. I didn't know much about the digital space at all, but I took steps. I took this seed that he gave me and I learned and I invested. I sowed into that seed over and over and over again. And then I took the next step and he gave me another seed and I sowed into that seed. And I'm really proud of saying I was completely incapable of starting this business.
It's so true. And that's faith, right? Faith without action is dead. Even in that parable where those who did go out and multiply the investment that they were given, then it says they were given much more.
Right.
Their responsibility, their capacity, their authority expanded, but first they had to take that action. And so a lot of times women are waiting around, and I know I've had to learn this over the years, waiting around for permission to go do something. It's like, no, if God is calling you, that is your permission. Step into it. He will give you everything you need. And with Girl Power Alliance, there's so many resources available that will help you along the way to learn what you need to learn. Michelle, we're going to just wrap up here. This has been a great conversation. Ladies, let us know if you're able to comment down below. For so far, what is your biggest takeaway? What is your biggest takeaway? And I'd love it, Michelle, if you share. I know in your book, you talk about some of the things or what it takes if you are serious about building this residual life, this leveraged lifestyle, where you are not trading your time and your money for money, but you are able to leverage what's in your hand, what God has given you, the systems. And within GPA, I just want to say the system is so simple. To leverage that alone is just gold. I've once heard this saying, it said, complexity fails, simplicity scales. Ooh. And when we learn a simple, proven system, that gives us the track to run on, and we can learn as we grow. But I know there's a lot, but if you could just narrow it down to a few, maybe two, what does it take for a woman to build a network marketing business residual life?
Yeah, there is a lot of things, but I think first and foremost, you have to just decide that this is it. You just have to say, I believe this is it, and I'm going to go all in. Because if you go kind of halfway, then you will get halfway results. If you really want to give something a shot, you have to give it a shot for real. Give it all you've got. Give it everything. What do you actually have to lose? Because if you go halfway, you'll never ever see. So it's the decision, first of all, that I'm going to give it all for a period of time, and treat this the Girl Power Alliance Ambassador business portion like an actual business. Because if you treat it like a hobby that you just play around with, you will never earn income like a career. I treated it like a business. I learned it. I was coachable. This is a big, big thing. Many of you are in network marketing companies, or you've had success before. But even in my last build, we had owned a company. We had been top earners in 2 other companies together. But when we went, the last build that we had, we were willing to act like beginners and acclimate to the system and the company and everything that was happening there first. We became beginners again. You have to humble yourself to the place that you're at and say, okay, I want to learn what's working here. And then you can take all the skills that you've learned and the culture of where you're at, and then you can marry them, but not before. You can't just most often, you can't come into a company and think, I already know all these things. That humility to learn, and giving it the time. I love to ask people how long it took them to go through school, how long it took them to start their brick and mortar business before they were profitable. You cannot come into network marketing and give it 2 months and say, well, that didn't work. You're right. It won't. But the beautiful thing about network marketing is, the beautiful thing about your Girl Power Alliance businesses, in the beginning, you're going to be putting in more effort than you get paid. This is the true for any entrepreneur, period, no matter what you're building. You're putting in more effort than if you were to average it out, like being paid by the hour. You're putting in more hours than being paid. That's employee mentality, but it's how most people think. So let's just call it what it is. More hours, less pay. But what happens if you continue, if you persist, if you're consistent, if you keep doing the work over a period of time, that flips and you begin to get paid so incredibly much more than the hours that you put in, because of the foundation that you've laid. And this is where the leverage comes in. This is why I was able to start an entire company and invest in it, because of the decade that I spent building a business. And I'm able to earn this residual income for years and years and years because of what I did, the time that I put in, the energy that I put in. Most people, Lisa, don't wait long enough.
No.
They wait 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And then they say, well, after a year, I'm only making $1,500 a month. Forget it. This isn't worth it. But if they had only done the same thing for another year, that 1,500 would have another comma in it and another zero. And most people just don't give it the length of time that it would take to get to that place.
It's so true. I was listening to Russell Brunson, a thing online about Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels, who, if you know anything about the online marketing space, he's like a billionaire. But do you know that how long it took him to get there? And he was talking about that. He's like, you know what? It took me a long time. I had several attempts, but he believed this was the vehicle that was going to get him there. So I love that. There's so many things that we can say about that, but you're absolutely right. 3 feet from goal. People give up just short of that breakthrough sometimes. So I know in your book, you talk about give it 12 months, make a commitment, but not just make a commitment to show up, but be consistent. And the second part about that, I would love you to talk about when you talk about the compressing of this energy.
Yes. So, okay. Over the years, I saw a couple things happen. I saw people consistently enroll 2 people a month, 2 people a month, 2 people a month, 2 people a month. By the end of the year, they'd enrolled X amount of people. Let's just take the number 50. By the end of the year, they had enrolled 50 people, but their business it wasn't like you would think. They enrolled 50 people. Why isn't their business expanding or growing like somebody else who had enrolled the same 50 people, but those 50 people were in the first 90 days. They enrolled 50 people in the first 90 days of their business versus somebody that enrolled 50 people over the course of the year, evenly spaced out. The people that enrolled 50 people in a compressed amount of time, their businesses exploded. And I'm talking about rocket ships taking off. And so what I learned about network marketing is this compressed energy. So it's not how long you've been in network marketing, it's how many people you have personally enrolled and how many people your team has personally enrolled. Because I knew people that I've been in network marketing 20 years. You've been in network marketing 20 years and you've literally only made like 15,000 a year, 20 years. Because they're just doing, they treat it like a hobby. I'll just enroll a few. But that compressed energy, that compressed effort, it creates synergy, excitement on the team. It creates rank advancements for people. It literally takes this energy of 50 people over 1 year and compresses it into 90 days. And you will see explosions in your business. And I could look back to the last build that we did, and we enrolled 20 people in about 45 days. That was the first 20 people. And I can look at the people earning money. And from that first 20, almost all of them are still earning money. Almost all of them. And so when I would enroll, I learned this. So if I was I would go on these like sprees. You're always kind of looking if you meet people, whatever. But I would take this recruiting kind of mindset on, and I would say, okay, I'm going to enroll 10 in the next 40 days. And whether I did or didn't, maybe it was only 6, but I had 6 in a compressed period of time, and I would rank advance every time. It was uncanny. So for those of you that want to build a business, if you're wondering, like, I've enrolled 50 people, but was it over the course of the year? Network marketing is a marathon of sprints. So you have to gear up and you have to sprint for a period of time to compress your effort, to get a group of the next class of leaders, get them all in at the same time, train them all, have them all moving. And then guess what? You take a break and then go back and do it again. You will literally become wealthy doing that.
Wow. That is powerful. I love that. So Michelle, we're at the end of our time here. There's so much more that we can talk about in this conversation. But what would you say to a woman right now who's on the fence?
Oh gosh. Well, it's time to say yes. You know, when we sit on the fence, you know who's clapping for you when I'm just going to get real and bold. When you sit on the fence, I'm going to tell you who's clapping for you. The enemy. He's like, yes, she's not doing anything today. Yes. The calling on her life and the impact she is designed by God to have on her family, on those people around her, on the kingdom. She's not doing it today. Yes. I'm so happy. What can I do today to keep her stuck? I'm going to lie to her. I'm going to tell her she's unequipped. I'm going to tell her this call isn't for her. I'm going to tell her she's not as good as these other people. I'm going to tell her she's stressed out. She's too busy. I'm going to tell her all these things. It's too expensive. It's this. It's that. I'm going to tell her all these things to keep her from moving forward. I will tell you, if you want to throw an atomic bomb at the enemy's plans, say yes. Do something. Get into action. Make a commitment. Lock arms with these other women I'm sorry, my dog is barking. Lock arms with other women that are so committed to their own growth, to their own families, that are so committed to the kingdom, to doing whatever it takes. Like, we are living in a time we cannot wait. You can wait if you want to, but I want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. I don't want to hear, you worthless and lazy servant. And in that parable, it says, take him and take what he has and give it to somebody else. When you say, not right now, I'm not ready, the timing isn't right, I promise you, it will be given to somebody else. That's biblical. So the longer you wait to say yes, and then it's not just a yes, it's a deciding that I'm going to go all in for a period of time. I'm going to make it work. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. You know what? It's going to be real. The enemy knows that if you come here, you're going to impact the kingdom. So he's going to use smoke, mirrors, arrows, weapons, lies to have you go, oh, shoot, I should have never done that. But your resolve to align yourself with what God has called you to is life-changing for you and potentially thousands of other people.
That's so good. Ladies, if you're not fired up already, you need to replay this and watch the whole thing again, because tomorrow also you're going to hear how this is changing women's lives. So I'm excited for what lies ahead. Thank you so much, Michelle, for this great interview and just giving us a peek into your story and how GPA came about, but also the passion that you have to help women create financial freedom to live leveraged lifestyle for the kingdom, because we are being prepared, ladies, to advance the kingdom in wherever God has us. And GPA is a vehicle to enable us not only to have the skills, but also to have the resources to actually be the solution for the world's problems, money, all the things that is going to be needed. So tomorrow, make sure you tune in. We're going to have a panel of GPA ambassadors and members who are going to share with you about how it's changing their life, their experience. And so you're going to tune into that. Thank you again, ladies. Thank you, Michelle.